Good. Now, tonight, we're talking about high blood pressure and cholesterol. Now, not only is this my favorite subject, but it's the most frustrating. And it's the most frustrating because people think that high blood pressure is a disease, that it's dangerous, that you can die from it. I'm reading this book. Okay, it's called Medicine and Culture. And it's kind of enlightening. I mean, I read all the time, but this one's kind of fun because it compares the medical care that you get in England, France, Germany, and America. Now, you would think that it'd be the same, wouldn't you? Because we're taught that the doctors are actually scientific based, that the therapies, that when you go in, they check, what is it, vital signs, okay? And then they prescribe certain therapies to regulate those vital signs, and this is supposed to make you live longer, happier, and healthier. Okay, yeah, none of that's true. Now, this is one of the wordy slides. I made 3 wordy slides, but I can't not help it. I heard about this study that said 75% of all people who die of a heart attack have normal to low cholesterol. I want to look it up. Because if cholesterol is such a big myth, that cholesterol doesn't clog arteries. Cholesterol doesn't clog arteries. What did I just say? Doesn't clog arteries. Okay, good. And if cholesterol is vital for hormone function, and if 75% of all people that have a heart attack have normal to low cholesterol, none of this stuff is working with the jargons and the dogma that you've been taught, right? So I look at the study, and sure enough, 136,000 people involved in the study, about 6 years long. And I'm thinking, this is amazing. 75% of these people. And then I look at what they were talking about, and I love this. Dr. Fonaro, okay. He's got a lot of credentials behind him. Of course, he's conducted research. I don't want you to get prejudiced about this because 75% of people who have a heart attack have normal to low cholesterol. So you might start to think, well, maybe cholesterol is not a problem, right? No, this guy's paid by the pharmaceutical industry. He said within current target, 75% of heart attack patients fell within their current recommended targets for LDL cholesterol, demonstrating that the current guidelines might not be low enough. We might have to drug people more. Who pays him? GlaxoSmithKline, Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Merck, all the drug companies are paying him to come up with the guidelines. Okay, so these are the top sellers. If you have no ethics or morals, cholesterol-lowering drugs, statin is one of the best. It's the most profitable, the first drug to cross the $10 billion mark. But now, does it make you healthier? Well, I don't know. Let's take a look at this. The leading cause of death in America is medical care. The leading cause of death. Okay, now this is important when you start looking at this, because so if these guys are really responsible for health, okay, if you're trusting your medical professional to go in and check your, what do they do? They check the blood pressure, then they send you off and they check your cholesterol, okay, and you're going to find out tonight that those are really poor indicators of health. My car is red. Does that mean I'm healthier? It's just as vital a check as, the cholesterol, so it doesn't really make sense. But we're talking iatrogenic illnesses. This is doctor-caused illnesses. This means if you chemically alter physiology, you're going to do more harm than good. So hypercholesterolemia is an actual disease. Of course, they don't die of heart attacks more, they just have elevated blood cholesterol. This affects 1 in 500 people. 1 in 500. Autism is affecting 1 in 33 boys. Okay, so this is infinitesimally smaller than autism, and autism is getting a lot of press nowadays. Okay, because we're actually losing a generation. So I want you to get this, that 1 in 500 is a very small number of people, and still there's no studies that show that lowering it helps. So we have to come up with, because 1 in 500 is not a good market. We're not going to sell billions of dollars of this. We're not going to be able to bill you for billions of dollars worth of tests. We're not going to be able to generate that fear. So we have to convince the doctors, the media, the government, okay, we have to convince these people that cholesterol's a problem. Anybody know what the signs of high cholesterol is? There isn't any. You feel good. Okay, so we have to create a market here. We have to create fear that cholesterol is dangerous and that the market is bad. So high cholesterol has no outward signs, okay? You got to be convinced that it's a problem in order to take this drug that has a terrific amount of side effects. Now let's look at the studies, because I'm a big one for actually looking at the science behind this. So if cholesterol isn't recognized as a problem around the world, and cholesterol is vital for the system, let's look at the studies. Now, the ALLHAT study. Now, this is interesting. 10,000 participants. They showed a group that got the drugs, a group that didn't. The death rates were exactly the same. Okay, so it turns out that lowering cholesterol. Now, what did this guy say here? 75% of all people who had a heart attack had normal to low cholesterol. Then we go in here, cholesterol drugs are the leading seller. Then we go in here, the leading cause of death is medical care. Then we go in here, hypercholesterolemia doesn't affect that many people. It's very, very rare, and the drugs have never been shown to help extend the quality of life. So we have to develop a problem. Then we go here and we start looking at the studies. Okay, I wanted to give you a synopsis, but can you start seeing it build? Okay, can you see the arrows pointing to the big X in the sand? So I'm going to show you one group that features the ALLHAT study, and this is the Antihypertensive Lipid-Lowering Treatment to Prevent Heart Attack trial. They found out that it didn't change the death rate at all, whether you lowered it or not. Here's the PROSPER study, which is prospective study of Prevastin, which is a statin cholesterol-lowering drug in the elderly at risk. And they found out absolutely no difference in death rate if you took the cholesterol-lowering drug and nothing. So we know 75% all people that have a heart attack they have normal to low cholesterol, and giving them a drug doesn't change the death rate. However, in this study, it's interesting, the group that got the drug had an increased risk of cancer. Then we look at this one, Japanese study. I like this one. Now, if we all took a cholesterol-lowering drug, would we have exactly the same response? No, of course not. Of course not. We're common sense. Well, the Japanese did this too. So they gave about 48,000 people, 47,000 people the drug. And then they divided them up after they gave them the drug. This affected you a lot. Didn't affect you a whole bunch. It affected you just moderately. And so then what they did is they took the people whose cholesterol was lowered below 80, which is really, really low, the LDL cholesterol, and those that weren't affected hardly at all, where it was still over 200, and then they compared the death and disease rates, because if cholesterol really is a problem, we'd see higher problems in the people with higher cholesterol, right? Well, they had absolutely no change in death rate, low versus high. Okay, now we look at this more. What does cholesterol do? Okay, not only is it the majority of the brain component, but let's just look at this. It's the number one body's repair substance. So, think of this. It's used in tissue repair. So does that mean if you damage the arteries, if you damage the tissue, that the body's going to produce cholesterol in order to protect itself and to rebuild the tissue?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. So if we're so somebody with high cholesterol actually has tissue damage. So we're taking away that repair process. Boy, that sounds stupid. Okay, so it's the precursor to everything that your adrenals make, and the adrenals produce every glucocorticosteroid, mineralocorticosteroid, and sex hormone. Testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone. Progesterone actually protects you against cancer. It's the precursor to vitamin D, which is vital to the immune system. It's vital for bile salts, which help you break down fats, and fats help with the brain function. And then we start looking at this powerful antioxidant, protects us from cancer and aging, vital to neurologic function. Wow, this sounds really important. Vital in serotonin production, so that would be like for depression and anxiety. Okay, I got a question for you. And in fact, I'm going to give away a couple of videos at the end of this. Okay, and who can guess what costs more in this country? Cancer or dementia?
Dementia.
Okay, raise your hand if you say cancer. Raise your hand and say dementia. Dementias win. Cancer is $77 billion a year. Dementia is about $203 billion a year. Okay, now, at cancer. Now, $77 billion a year. What percentage do you think is breast cancer? This is the one that gets the money, okay? Girls like it, so do guys, okay? Guess what percentage of that $77 billion is cancer, breast cancer? 6%. That's it. But it gets all the advertisement because it gets the money. So we have to start looking at reality. Lowering these functions, if we lowered these functions, we're lowering neurologic functions, we're lowering memory, we're lowering immune system. If we actually pass these cholesterol drugs out, would we have dementia and Alzheimer's rampant in our country like we do now?
Yeah.
Absolutely we would. Okay. Problems with low cholesterol. This means if you don't have enough, okay, we're talking edema, mineral deficiencies, chronic inflammation, difficulty in healing, asthma, reduced libido. That's okay, we got Viagra. Okay, so infertility. You start looking at this and it's just like, my gosh, all of these problems. Why would you want to even lower it? What's the benefit of lowering cholesterol? Hence, I got you an article on this, on how to explain to a medical doctor that cholesterol is not a problem. It's not. In fact, it's a very piss poor indicator of your health. It's horrible. It's, my car is red, I should be healthy. Then we have these guys. Okay. Okay, again, I looked up scary on the internet. These guys, the National Cholesterol Education Program, they were started by the National Institute of Health to educate you on cholesterol because you don't know anything about cholesterol. Wait, you do now. Does it cause heart disease? Does it cause cancer? Does it cause any of that stuff? No. So we know that low cholesterol has more of a problem than high cholesterol. High cholesterolemia that affects 1 in 500. So it's ridiculous. So these guys got to convince you, okay, because the way our government's run, pharmaceutical industry, biggest industry in the world, they fund the campaigns. The people that fund the campaigns fund the government, and the government funds the studies, and they have to convince you to buy the product. So they're saying that these charts, less than 100, okay, for LDL cholesterol, this is considered optimal, but we already know that doesn't change death rate, and low cholesterol is going to lead to dementia, Alzheimer's, cancer rates, all of that stuff. So they're causing heart disease, they're causing cancer by doing this insane recommendation. Now we have dementia, which is leading cause. It's more of a cause of problems in this country than cancer, more than heart disease, more than anything else. If you have 3 drugs, okay, your risk of dementia goes up. The average person over 60 is on 11 prescriptions. So this doesn't make sense. It turns out to alter physiology with a chemical. Is there any animal on the planet that cannot regulate themselves? This is a violation of biological law. The human animal is the same thing as a bear or as a deer. I mean, we've been surviving here generation after generation. What makes you think that we can't regulate ourselves? Why is that all of a sudden a problem? And we see that changing that regulatory factor by altering your physiology with a chemical, you die early. You get more problems. So now, is cholesterol good or bad?
Good.
Good. Okay, good. Okay, all of that was just for cholesterol. Okay.